Hey everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. This is another episode of Panther Talk. We have, I can't even say special guest. This is not even wonderful. This is like above, like for him to even take the time for on his busy schedule to come. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to the one and only Mr. Muhammad. All right, so everybody always asks people, so actually, what do you, ask questions. So what do you do? But this is the question I want to ask when it comes to Texas Pie. What do you don't do?
What do I not do? Man, I don't take temperatures. But we do everything around here. So at Texas Empowerment Academy, one thing you know about Texas Empowerment Academy is growing this thing from the ground up. We've had the opportunity and experience to do just about any and everything there is to do at Texas Empowerment Academy. So that's a good question. What is it that I don't do at Texas Empowerment Academy? So, when called on, we do a little bit of anything. So you can call me a company man.
That makes sense.
A community man, the 3 C's that we, cooperation, communalism, collectivism. Texas Empowerment Academy.
Yeah, that's what it is. I always tell people all the time, whatever it says on your paycheck, your job description, that don't mean nothing. Just put that. That's supposed to be blank.
Yeah, that's a starting point. Like that's the minimum of what you're required to do at Texas Empowerment Academy. But that minimum won't keep you employed at Texas Empowerment Academy.
You're right about that. Yeah. You're right about that. So I always have to say, to me, you are like one of the founding members of Texas Empowerment because you was here pretty much since day one, right?
Well, I've been here 18 years, so we 22 years deep right now, and but I've been knowing Mr. Allen, since the early to mid 90s. But I will say when I came here, we were still in the on the foundational stages of building the institution. So, I've been blessed to be here and be a critical element and a critical ingredient to the 22-year success of Texas Empowerment Academy.
Okay. That's cool. So it's funny, I'm thinking about it now, like I said, your presence when you came in just got me so excited when you said, yeah, I got you, I'm going to do one. I'm like, man, I had so much stuff I'm going to ask you. I ain't even asked the loosen up question that I ask everybody. That as soon as they get in, to kind of loosen them up so they'll know, everybody has their flaws too. I always ask this. So what is, I would say, this way we say is this. What is the worst event you ever did that it was your fault?
Uh-oh.
Well,
let me see if the statute of limitations is up.
Where you had to sit, look back and be like, yeah, I messed that up. We all have.
You mean in my life?
You can say life or even.
Man, just like young knuckleheads, black males growing up, I was engaged in some pretty wild stuff growing up as a teenager. So, man, I would, that quite often you get a couple of tracks, a couple of pathways in the black community when you're a black male. One is sports.
Yep.
Some would say entertainment, but many of us, entertainment is a hobby for most of us. There's very few musicians like yourself that's able to make, to make money and to pay bills with doing something that they were trained to do. And so, either you an athlete or you in the streets, how I grew up. And so, you're looking at my stature, I'm not an athlete. I was an athlete, when everybody was the same size, back in the middle school days. And I actually was was halfway decent to the point to where I was in middle school. A scout called my dad. I had broken a record. You know, I was in the 8th grade. You know, football. I had scored 5 touchdowns in a game or something like that. But so anyway, engaged with some of the foolishness. You know, man. At one point in my life, I had gotten involved with robbing people. You know, my dad. You know, I think I look back. And I became an angry young man because my mom and dad was always together, even though I knew a lot of guys my age that I grew up with, you know, either their dad was gone or they never even knew who their dad was. But my dad was always there. And when I became a teenager.
I'm sorry, and you was upset with your parents being together?
No, that's not why I was upset. But when I became a teen, my mom and dad split up.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad had started doing drugs and they split. And so at that time, I didn't realize it until I got older that I was angry. So I started doing a lot of things that I wasn't raised to do, you know. Okay. And so some of it involved weapons. Some of it, involved criminal activity, mischief, that a lot of times that, young black boys, when you get caught and you get a criminal record, you don't get an opportunity to live that down in this society, whereas, in other communities, they just being boys, they're just an angry boy. Let's give them an opportunity to restructure their life and all of that. So I'm blessed that, I was able to come through that part of my life without getting a stain, other than my memory. But that's part of what propelled me to do what I'm doing today with Texas Empowerment Academy, because we see so many young men and women who we all grew up like. I mean, you from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from Austin, Texas. And, Austin, Texas is not that city where you have to get engaged. You'd have to engage in certain type of activity. Yeah. Memphis is a whole different animal. But, you're able to make choices here in Austin, where in some areas, they may not feel like they had choices. But I was blessed to have some people that invested in me, that saw some things in me and helped me to get on the right path. And so that's part of the reason that I'm here. So I love engaging with these young folks to help them, stay on that right path or get on it. So, and you got to know something about me. I'll keep talking as long as this microphone is in front of me.
Look,
so
that's what we on the podcast, man. So keep talking.
I got a little experience in front of them, behind the microphone, so you got to guide me right. So some of the worst things I did was probably that, engaging in, that type of nefarious activity as a teenager,
Everybody got a past,
Yeah.
It depends on what you do from your past. Do you learn from it and, grow up and make it, something positive?
What's the saying? They say, everybody that's saved has a past and every sinner has a future. So, this is where we at, bro.
Oh, yeah. You're right about that, man. So, tell us about it. You kind of talked about it a little bit, in the question I asked previously. So you're originally from Austin, Texas?
Man, I'm originally from Austin, Texas. Not very many of us around, bro.
I think you probably now. I think honestly, you're probably about the 10th person I know that's born and raised in Austin, Texas, and still here.
Yeah, I come from the time period where all black people lived in East Austin.
Oh, the real East Austin.
Like what they call Central Austin now. They call it Central East Austin. This used to be Northeast Austin, and this was where black Austinites were able to migrate, that were able to get jobs at the semiconductor companies like Motorola, IBM, Texas Instruments. Yep. A lot of our parents were able to buy homes in this area, and so this was like the suburb area for us. Areas like Craigwood and Colony Park and Cavalier Port, those were like suburb areas, but black people that were able to take advantage of the tech industry back in the 70s and the 80s, were able to move into some of those areas and keep it black,
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm born and raised here, so I love Austin.
Oh, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I grew up to love Austin. When I first came here, it's funny to this day. I was supposed to only came here for 4 years, get my degree, and head back to L.A. And for some odd reason, I'm still saying I'm going to L.A., and I've been here for 10 years.
If you can get past the initial culture shock, it's a good place, especially when you're raising a family.
Oh, yes.
Especially for people like yourself, artists, people that are engaged in the arts and music and entertainment. and now the tech field. I mean, this is a great place to be. That fast life that a big city like Memphis, you don't see that kind of stuff here. So, you can raise your children in a different environment in which you grew up in, and increase the probability of their success.
Yes, you're right. You definitely right.
At least
that.
for now.
Yeah, that too. So, all right. So you came from Austin. What high school did you graduate from? And
I went to LBJ High School in the late '80s, early '90s.
Okay.
And LBJ High School, there's something about LBJ High School, man. Everybody sticks together. They still communicate. They still, I see every time I see somebody. I just seen a brother the other night. I went to a restaurant and he throwing up his J. We almost 50 years old. There go another Jaguar. Like But with the LBJ High School, and the interesting about this area where we at right now, Northeast Drive, is that most people we went to the same middle school or junior high school, which was Pierce at that time.
Yeah.
And then there was a split. Once you left Pierce, you either went to Reagan High School or you went to LBJ. And so since my older brother went to LBJ, they changed the district lines. We were now in Reagan. I didn't want to go to Reagan because you got to know that if the junior high school split and funneled to high school, that's where the rivalry is gonna be at.
Of course.
So, I was going to 2-day practice playing football, and I was halfway decent at that time, and I had to go the first day of school after having 2 days at LBJ. I couldn't get a transfer. I had to go to Reagan for the first day of school, and of course, everybody asking me, "You gonna play football?" I said, "Yeah." But the crazy thing is, I got home on the first day of school. My mother said your transfer has been approved. So the second day of school, I went to LBJ. First game of the season against Reagan, and they tried to kill me.
Of course,
but I went to LBJ, man. Fantastic school, fantastic program. Proud to. I'm not proud of the academics, but I'm proud of the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sisterhood of LBJ. And one of the only nearly all-black schools, in Austin, Texas. And so I was proud of that. Matter of fact, a friend of mine came from Brownwood, Texas, and he visited LBJ. He said, "Man, so many black people in here ought to be against the law." But that's where I went to school at LBJ, man.
Oh, man.
Home of the Jaguars, brother.
Oh, yes. I just remember when I first moved to Austin. This is right before they really started doing the diverse and everything with the community, changing the community around. And I remember just being at HT, and we sitting, in my dorm rooms, talking, chilling, and we had a bunch of guys that was, from Austin that were at HT, and it was like, "What y'all doing tonight?" They were like, "Man, you know what we doing? We gotta go to the game." And I'm thinking, well, HT don't have a football team. What y'all talking about? They're like, "Nah, man, we got to go down to the LBJ Reagan game." Yeah. And I'm like, "What?" They like, "What? You ain't never been there?" They were like, "Oh, that's right, Memphis. You know who everybody you call. All right, Memphis, that's right. You ain't from here, man. Let's go."
Yeah.
So since I have a suburban truck, so everybody like, let's just ride with Memphis. Look, them guys want to ride down there. And I remember this, like I said, this is right before all this. So we drive and go down 290. We go to Nelson Field. And I'm like, man, I almost had to park on 290 just to even get in there. And I'm like, man.
And it had to be bad if you got college boys talking about going to a high school football game.
Man.
And so, unfortunately, the rivalry is not like that anymore because of the migration of black people, African Americans in Austin. And so, but the rivalry now is LBJ and Manor. Because a lot of people are moving. If they're not going out to the Pflugerville area, they're going right down the street to Maine, right down 290.
Yep.
So that's the rivalry now. At least I know for basketball, that's the rivalry. Because a lot of the talent that was concentrated in this area of town just trickled down to Manor. And so Manor's been doing well the past maybe 5 years or so. They actually been competing with LBJ. So.
Oh, man. Yeah. So it's on like Donkey Kong now.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
Man, I feel you on that. So, Man, just listen, know, man. I can interview you all day, man.
I can be interviewed all day,
we
brother.
might have to do a part 2, 3, 4 on this. Just let you know. So this gonna,
yes, sir.
This gonna be probably a while. Like when you say, "Hey, man, stop, man. We got enough." I'm gonna stop because I got billions of questions.
I'm telling you, I could go, brother.
All right, cool. So you said that we gonna go. All right. So here's another question I want to ask you. So, how did you end up working at Texas?
Man,
like,
it's
how it started?
It's interesting because, after leaving high school, I started college. I was majoring in physical therapy.
Okay.
Right? Which I didn't know I didn't want to do until I started, the prerequisite I had to volunteer. So I volunteered at a sports medicine clinic.
Okay.
And some of them injuries I saw, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. And so, going through life, working, starting to work for the state, getting married, starting having children, and you start to reconsider, what you're going to school for. And so been knowing David Nowlin, the superintendent, since the early 90s, and from the moment that he got to school, but even before that, he was telling me, man, I want to school one day. I'm like, man, okay, you're not getting to school. Man, I'm telling you, I got a curriculum. I want to school. And at the time, David Michael, Coach D was, he might have been 2 or 3 years old. So you see, Mr. Nowlin riding down Main Road on a 10-speed with his son on the handlebars. Like, man, you going to kill that boy, man. You get riding down. Or they get on the bus and he said he's going to start a school one day. I'm like, okay. So one day he came to me. He said, man, look, I got this school. The school I work for, I'm the superintendent. I want you to come work for me. I want you to come. I said, what you want me to do? He said, I want you to come teach. I said, man, I don't teach no children, man. He said, look, so he staffed the school, and I was working for teacher retirement system. I got a job with the department, DPS, Department of Public Safety and Traffic Law Enforcement. And I went to the training. The training was supposed to last 6 weeks. I didn't make it a week. But I didn't make it a week because I saw what type of racism was involved in this particular area of the Department of Public Safety. Your rednecks, the ill treatment of black people that they pulled over and that they would question, and even how even the officers, the black officers responded to white officers and vice versa. And I'm sitting in there full of this black empowerment, this mindset, like, I've been studying since high school, and I'm like, I can't take this. Like, and now I'm really seeing racism. It's a liberal town, so you don't really see blatant racism, except in policy sometimes. But, now I'm seeing this like in real color, in living color. Wow. And by this time, Mr. Nowlin had offered me a job twice, and I turned it down twice.
Wow.
And so long story short, I quit the job. I went to Mr. Nowlin. I said, hey, man, what you still got that position open for me, He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, man, it don't matter. You said it didn't matter. You had something for me, man, because we had an experience together, and he knew my strengths and whatnot. And so he said, well, listen, and I had an offer from Eastside Story to work for Eastside Story, working with children, working with their program. And he said, well, whatever they offer you at Eastside Story, I'll beat it. And so he created a position for me at Texas Empowerment Academy, and I came on in the administrative office. And I also, did a number of things. I dealt primarily with discipline, but I've taught PE, I've done art, I've been the PEMS coordinator. I've been the janitor. I've been, you name it. I've been the parent liaison. I've been I coached football. I coached basketball one season. Been security. You name it. Yep. Texas Empowerment Academy. That's what we've done. And so, but that's what brought me on, man. I actually getting to the point in my life where I wanted my 9 to 5 or my daily work activity to be something that will contribute to the community, upward mobility in the community, and just working a regular job, looking at the racism that I had studied about. I said, man, I can't do this no more because I'm gonna end up dead or in jail, you know, or just, or just, you know, seeking unemployment because I can't take it. And so that's how I ended up here at Texas Empowerment Academy, man, 18 years ago. And although the job can be stressful, I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah, that's what it is. I totally have to agree with you on that. My wife say the same thing. She's like, you always up there. When you get home, you be upset, but you go right back up there and just
go right back, bro,
and go right back, and you say what you gotta say, but you like, and next thing come out your mouth at the end. I know how I'm gonna fix it, and then you go back like you just couldn't say it.
Because really, man, this is not a job; it's a mission.
It's not exactly. That's how I feel.
It's not something where you can come clocking in the morning, clock out, and then you just go and you just regular old Willis, you regular old Muhammad, you know. But it's something that you carry with you wherever you go. And now I've gotten to the point to where there's no way I can go in the community without there being somebody that recognized me, either from community work or Texas Empowerment Academy.
Exactly.
You know, I've had children that were too young to be in the school run up to me in a grocery store and hug me and say, hey, Mr. Muhammad. I'm like, whose baby is this? And I'm looking around like, man, what's going on? You know, and then finally I'll see somebody I recognize, you know. But, you know, Texas Empowerment Academy is you know, and this thing is personal because my children, you know, all of my children have attended. I got 4 children. All of them attended Texas Empowerment Academy. Yeah. So this is not, you know, something that just, you know, a job that I have or a career, but it's personal, and everything that we do to keep this thing in operation is personal because not only for the community, but, you know, my own personal life is wrapped around Texas Empowerment Academy.
Yeah, I totally have to agree with you on that. Like, I think we remember that talk. You the reason why my kids go here. I tell people all the time, I actually didn't even want my kids to come here, and the main reason because I didn't want them to be at the same school I taught at. It wasn't nothing else. Right. It was nothing like I knew the curriculum, I knew everything was on point, but my wife was the one that wanted to happen. Right. And to this day, that was the best thing that ever happened to my kids, man.
So check this out. I got my oldest son is 22. Akil's 22. Rashad's 21. He just turned 21. Nadia is 17. And Halim is 9. But when Halim graduates, I can say that I participated in a movement in my lifetime that created an environment for all of my children to go to school and for my wife to be employed at. It's not very many people that can say that. So, you know, even people that know me that have children that go to school here, they say, I know if I have a question about anything, I can call you.
Exactly.
You know, and I know it's going to get worked out. Whereas across the street, you got to make an appointment with the assistant to make an appointment with you know, somebody in the administrative staff. So
and they still may not get it done.
Still, you know, they talk about getting an appointment. Okay, well, it look like they're open. I thought this was the meeting. No, this is the meeting to qualify for the meeting.
Yes.
So I mean, it's for that. I'm grateful and I'm thankful that, you know, the type of work that we've put in over the years. In the Groter Institution, when I was here, we were under 100 students when I first started here. Now we right at 400 students with 2 campuses, and we're talking about building a campus, which pre-COVID we was on our way to do it. So
I was excited about
that. We didn't even have a music program when I started. So now look at what we have: professional, bona fide, certified, qualified, sanctified. You know, professional musicians teaching our children to play on the level that they playing on.
And the cool thing, that's not only in the music department, but in all the departments.
That's right.
Everybody from, you know, like she's coming up like Miss Cormier. Like people don't know, she was a professional dancer for like the Austin Vipers for the cheerleaders. She just did the G League team, the Spurs G League team. Right. She has auditions for them. Like and you know, to get them auditions, you don't go to them. They call you.
That's right.
So you even get there. So you're getting that from Zell.
So it just kind of talks about the quality of, you know, especially the arts department, the quality of staff that's here. You know, the teachers are not just teachers or educators are not just educators, but they keep themselves learning as well. Because so my point is, everybody that's here are examples of what we're trying to get the children to do.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's hard for you to teach a student to be a student if you're not a student.
Exactly.
You know, it's hard for you to teach them to be a musician if you're not a musician. You know, so that's where the success lies anyway. You know, the ones that come through here that are the most successful are the ones that do what they teach.
Yeah, you right. You definitely right about that, man. I can truly say when I just look around and just look at all the staff, you know, from the bottom all the way to the top. You know, one thing I can truly say, and I like, every staff member here really cares about what goes on in this school.
That's right.
And if they don't, every time I look, when I see them when they don't, I know they gone. I can give them a year or two. They out of here.
They out of here.
They out of here. And they ain't even like it. And you know, everywhere, and they always say the same thing. You can make more money somewhere else, but it's something about here that just keep you here.
It's a soul feeding environment. You know, it's not a perfect environment. We all know that, and we got so much room to grow in. But look at where we were at in 1998 in a little house on Rosewood with 7 students.
Wow.
You know, so to get to the point to where we still have the same superintendent with the same goal, the same vision, and we're getting ready to purchase land and build, and even have philanthropists willing to donate money to see that vision come to life and put something on a planet like that. You know, it's humbling, because to date, there's nothing in the city that exists like that. There's nothing around the city. Exactly. There's no black educational institution for children in Central Texas. You know, we got HBCU, Houston-Tillotson, you know, we're grateful for that. But beyond that, we don't have anything. So when people find out and they stumble on Texas Empowerment Academy in Austin, they like, man, where the most gatherings you're going to see black people sometime is either at the club, at church, or at Texas Empowerment Academy. You know, or the barbershop. So when they come here and see all of our students and they witness the program, you know, we bring people through here that want to, the philanthropists, since we got the fundraising wing up, and they come through and you see, you know, white people breaking down crying because they seeing what we do with the children, you know, bringing them up, you know, and so, and we don't change anything that we do. It's all authentic, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I could talk to you all day about Texas Empowerment Academy, you know, because it's something that, you know, we live. Yeah. You know, I mean, it consumes your life. So sometimes I leave here and say, man, I'll be glad when I retire, man. Get up out of here, man. And right now during this online learning, you know, we thought that, you know, the time that we would have to spend would change, but it just evolved to something else. So now we're dealing with solely technology and technological things. So, you know, being a part of the administration, you know, being assistant to the superintendent, it is, so instead of dealing with discipline all the time, and you know, we dealing with technical stuff. Well, you know, my son's getting kicked off. Well, his camera's not working, or, you know, the teacher kicked him out because his camera wouldn't come on, you know, and so doing those types of things. So they're just different type of issues that we have to assist not only the staff with, but also the families with. And so second day of school, we got to we call a boy and his family to the office for something that they did that had an effect on the virtual classroom. You come to the office, call his parents, y'all bring him up here, he in trouble. And Mr. Nallen and I leave that meeting saying, man, I thought we wasn't going to have to do this because everybody's at home.
And you still?
We still do. We call him up from his house. You come to the office from your home.
Wow.
You know, so, I mean, but that's what we do, you know. It's a community piece, and you won't see other people engaging like that, you know.
Right.
Well, that's at home. They deal with that, you know.
Yeah, you're right about that. So this comes to my next question, like, so with the COVID situation,